Headline inflation is now at 6.3. The most recent print was the biggest decline we had, which was 0.5%. It is still outside of our inflation target range. We would prefer to see inflation closer to 4.5%. At 6.3%, we still have some way to go, and we will continue to deploy our policy tools to make sure that inflation and inflation expectations are anchored at 4.5%.
Are you concerned about the negative side effects the high rates have on economic growth and also the real estate market?
The real estate market, not so much in South Africa. It's still decent, at least in nominal terms. We have not seen a spike in real estate prices. Neither did we see a significant move in downwards in real estate prices. Managing the short-term trade-off between growth and inflation is what central banks do, but we understand that we can only do that with respect to cyclical growth. There is no doubt that the steps that are taken would slow down economic growth. But what is the alternative? The alternative would be to allow inflation to de-anchor. And if inflation de-anchors, then we have got all sorts of problems, because that would mean that we would have to tighten policy more aggressively, and that would be negative for growth. So the stance that we have taken, we believe that it is appropriate to contain inflation, and yet at the same time cushion the economy against the adverse effects. There is no doubt that that is the challenge that central banks are facing, and that in deploying these tools, there is no doubt that it would have an effect on growth. But inflation is the biggest challenge that is facing central banks at the moment.
I was just saying before that here, at least that's my sense, that central bankers do prefer to err on the side of caution, meaning hiking rates, perhaps a little bit too much before before doing too less. Is that a right interpretation of the discussion?
Yes, sort of, but none of us would like to deliberately over-tighten. I think as you get to the top of the cycle, it becomes more an art than it is of a science. What is in no doubt is that if we under-tighten and inflation does not come down as expected, we would be faced with a situation where inflation expectations could actually de-anchor, and we would end up with a big problem. However, if we make a mistake and we over-tighten, it is actually an easier way to correct, because all that you do is you just cut interest rates and everybody is happy. But if you under-tighten and inflation runs away from you, you are going to have all sorts of problems, because then you are going to have to be more aggressive.